focusing upon the refinement of the Lotus diagram and leading to the development of our first proposals or questions. So there are a couple of milestones coming up. One of them, of course, is the Lotus refinement submission that's at the end of this week, as well as an initial proposal for questions. The second submission, which is the following week, is a brief oral presentation where you give to us an evaluation of your process and also a justification of your question. So there's a bit going on, but of course we will use class time to do that and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to ask questions. So I'm going back to this diagram, which is the coffee lotus, and this is the one I initially showed to you. And so I have now reviewed my engagement with the coffee lotus, and I've looked at these various areas: economics, chemistry, geography, looking at nutrition, agriculture, and history. All of those have validity, but I've decided, my decision is that for me, I'm interested in the sustainability of coffee production, particularly as it relates to the idea of child labour. So what's captured my interest is the idea of, well, what are the circumstances under which children are forced to work in coffee fields to produce this product? And so that has led me to focus upon this geographical idea, particularly with an emphasis upon child labour. That then, as you would expect, leads me immediately to a website. And so I've found this website and I've done some preliminary reading. And it was a very simple process to look at child exploitation in relation to coffee. And immediately I was given a number of references. This is before I go and seek much better material. What have I got? I've come across something called the Fair Trade Movement, and I'm starting to read to broaden my understanding of what it might mean, looking at things like children being forcibly transported to coffee plantations. And I note also that South American countries have launched social programs to address child labour. I'm looking at this campaign from Colombia, working is not a child's task, and I'm developing my perspective on the idea of child labour in coffee plantations, and I'm already starting to find this absolute rich resource of material from many different countries, which leads me to building my understanding of this idea. What does that lead me to in terms of a lotus? It leads me to a lotus diagram, a new diagram with this child labour in its centre. With that in its center, I recognize that I'm now looking at this from a geographic perspective. I'm looking at it as an international question, and I'm starting to think, well, what on earth could be the types of questions that might lead me to a better understanding of this topic, but also that would lead me to some researchable materials. So I'm starting to think about what are the current strategies used to address the issue. That might be something I could be looking at are current strategies effective? And I'm starting to broaden my understanding of the topic, and also I'm really refining and developing my Lotus diagram. I am now starting to think about question stems, and I am now starting to think about something that's researchable, but that also allows me to investigate. That simply doesn't result in me developing a list. We'll be discussing question design extensively this week. You're going to be given significant class time to start to develop this Lotus more coherently. The last thing you need to think about is this very important thing, which was reinforced at the SACE conference on the weekend. You've got to explain your thinking. So I need to be able to explain why it is that I have moved from this broad coffee topic to this much more specific child labour in the coffee industry topic. I need to be able to explain what is it about this topic, what's my thinking in relation to this topic that makes it valid for research. That is going to come in the form of annotations and notes, and of course it's critical for you with your final assessment outcome in mind.